On the 24th of May 2023, over 100 members of the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, a persecuted religious minority, were denied entry and faced violent treatment while seeking asylum at the Turkish-Bulgarian border. We will get into details of how it all began, but let's see how the Turkish media portrayed the event that took place at the border.
Geçtiğimiz gün Edirne'de farklı uyruklarda yaklaşık 100 kişilik bir grup Kapıkule sınır kapısından geçmek istedi, gözaltına alındı.
Valiliğinin açıklamasında kendilerini gazeteci olarak tanıtan Birleşik Krallık uyruklu 2 kişiden bahsedildi.
So far so good. The information presented is correct.
Tolga Şardan, valilik gazeteci olarak görülen 2 İngiliz vatandaşının ajanlık faaliyetleri çerçevesinde bulunduğu iddiasında dedi.
So that is what the Turkish news agency is saying? To spy on what exactly? Which spies would pop up as journalists together with over 100 refugees, as if they instigated against the Turkish government together? That should raise already a question mark on this report.
Ayrıca Edirne Valiliğinin haber ajanslarından haber yapılmamasını rica ettiğini iddia etti.
Why would they do such a thing if it was not something shameful that happened there?
Söz konusu kişilerin İstanbul'da bir süreden beri yaşadıkları biliniyor. Bu süre zarfında kimlerle nasıl bağlantılarını...
Absolute lie. We have pictures of them being with us in Britain a day before the incident happened. And it was the first time for both of them to be in Turkey. The passports with entry visa into Turkey are proof of it. Where's your proof, Turkish media?
Yanı sıra eylemcilerin bağlı olduklarını öne sürdükleri Ahmadi Barış ve Işık Dini adlı grubun riskli ve takip edilmesi gereken yapılar içinde olup olmadığı sorusu da yanıtsız.
So why do they want to keep them inside the country then if they are unsure about their intentions? These people want to get out of the country. The Turkish media called these refugees Afghani and Syrian. Not that there is anything wrong with being from Afghanistan or Syria, but the fact is that none of these 101 members are from Afghanistan or Syria. Is there some insinuation you're trying to make? Are you trying to make people think these innocent refugees are associated with some sort of terrorist group? Here we have an article that claims that they were not refugees. And in the same paper and another paper, it says that the people wanted to enter the customs site by force. But it's clear that you seem to be okay with not telling the truth. Let's get back to before the article was released. These people were targeted by their governments in their home countries for believing in the Ahmadi religion of peace and light. Core teachings involving beliefs like the Kaaba not being in Mecca but rather in Petra, Jordan, cancellation of the 5 daily prayers, and the permitting of consuming alcohol was the cause for the governments to declare the believers to be heretics and apostates of the religion of Islam. In other words, it is permissible to kill them. Therefore, they had an easy and legal option, which was to move to Turkey temporarily. They gathered in Turkey to figure out what to do. The EU has a rule which states that if you make it into EU territory and you need asylum, you will be granted asylum. At the same time, you are not allowed to break into the EU cutting fences. So they applied by the only realistic and legal option that is given in their situation. They contacted all the organizations needed to issue an open letter from the Border Violence Monitoring Network, along with over 25 other human rights organizations, urging the Bulgarian authorities and the European Border and Coast Guard Agency to fulfill their obligations under European Union law and international human rights law, to get them past the border to get into Bulgaria, urging the Bulgarian authorities and the European Border and Coast Guard Agency, Frontex, to fulfill their obligations under European Union law and international human rights law, to let them pass the border to get into Bulgaria. Several human rights organizations had coordinated to grant protection to the group and allow them an opportunity to lodge an application for international protection at the Bulgarian border. After all of this preparation happened, they were expected by the Bulgarians and they themselves expected to be granted entry. Why should they not? So the 2 British journalists came over to Turkey to film the whole event that was taking place. The Turkish border police stopped them, beat them up, stressed them all out and imprisoned them all, including women and children. That's why the Turkish media didn't want the event to be covered, because they executed shameful behavior and violated human rights.
Ever since the time of Adam, those who have followed the divinely chosen leaders have been persecuted. Satan declared a war against Adam and his children to attack them in every way that he can.